nothing but faith. There's things far too great that I want to accomplish. I'm hoping 25 hours a day, but something good works out, and I'm just like, dang. Think everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, I'm like, dang. Think you might just know the way. I'm like, dang.
Welcome to Dang.
Dang, I'm Todd Bridges.
And I'm Bettijo Bridges. And today we're talking about change.
Yes, and I usually do the Todd flicks at the end of the show, but today I'm going to, it's perfect for this discussion. I'm going to talk about it today. So one of my Todd flicks is...
You're going to talk about it early right now?
Yes, early. That's what I meant. Early. Yeah, I meant that. It was coming there somewhere, but it was fading away. But yes, and I'm talking about...
Because it talks about change?
It talks about change, yes,
Okay.
because he said something interesting in it. And that show is Dexter. I'm rewatching Dexter again with my wife. She's never seen it before.
That's because I tried to watch it before I met you, and it was too much for me.
It is not even gruesome at all.
So it's actually kind of sad because it means I've become desensitized because of all the gory stuff that you
But
have
it's not
shown
real.
me.
I keep telling you that someone's behind us and go, look, more dead. Oh, that's terrible. Let's reshoot this again. We need more fake blood everywhere.
I just wonder. I wonder if I really have become that desensitized, or if maybe it wasn't that bad. I don't know. I remember watching the first episode and quitting like halfway through.
Because I think you were not desensitized. You were just
the opening credits are enough to maybe almost make you turn it off.
It's not even.
It's all food though. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
How it's all food?
Yeah, it's just food. Why would it make you turn it off?
Because they do the shot so tight on him cutting like the egg and the meat and stuff that it does look gory.
He's hungry. How do you cut your food like this?
I know. And actually, I do think that what you have told me about like how it is on set and it's all just not real.
Yeah.
Maybe has had something to do with it.
You just watched a good story and you watch and you just
because I like mysteries. Like I like cop TV shows are probably my favorite.
Yeah. Me, I prefer horror. I love horror.
And we love Chicago PD right now, but we're like, I hate it when you start a show that's not over because then you can't just binge and watch as much as you want.
I know.
That's what drives me crazy about Chicago PD. We get like two episodes.
The other problem is this with these shows nowadays. They do 8 and then they stop.
I
Or
know.
they do 10 and then they stop, take a hiatus, and they come back. I think they shoot all the way through, but they only release them slowly, and that drives me crazy because I want to finish the whole season in that year, and you can't.
I've just gotten so spoiled with like Netflix and stuff that I just want to binge the whole show.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that show over? Have they concluded it? Okay, then I'll watch it.
So we have to ask ourselves what Dexter, he said to himself, can a person change?
Well, in one of the episodes, we're in season 3 watching it right now. And he just said to somebody, it's impossible to change. He's come to that conclusion that he thinks it's impossible to change.
I don't know if I think that. I mean...
So tell people the premise of Dexter.
The premise of Dexter is about he is a forensic blood specialist who is a serial killer to only murderers or any kind of child. If people harm children like that,
basically
Dexter may take
bad people. But he has sort of this code.
He has a code
by.
that he learned from his father as a boy. This code to only hurt bad people.
And his father was a police officer.
The justice system can't do it. Yes.
Yeah, his adopted father was a police officer and actually kind of helped him learn how to get away with it.
Yes.
And also gave him a code for these are the people that deserve to die, basically.
Yes, exactly. Except, he makes a few mistakes inside there. That's what happens if you're murdering people, you're going to make a few mistakes.
Yeah, it doesn't always go neatly
not gonna
as
always
you
go
planned.
neatly as you planned it. Yeah.
Actually, I feel like it's getting less neat. Like the first couple seasons, it was like very neat, and then it starts to unravel a little
No,
bit.
he's getting neat again. He's getting back to neat. I think he is.
The last episode we just watched was a big mess.
Well, because everything was a big mess.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
So that is the premise. Like, if you are sensitive to gore, there is a lot of blood. He's a blood specialist.
But there's not a lot of really. The blood is like, okay, the blood is candy blood. That's what it's candy, fake blood that they put on the walls. But most people you see are not really killed. Now, I'm watching another show that you watch. This is gory compared to this show.
Which one?
Narcos. That's gory.
Really?
Yeah, you couldn't handle that. It's totally gory.
Yeah.
And I couldn't watch it years ago, when it came out because I was afraid that it would make me do something stupid. But now that I feel that
Like relapse? You were afraid it would make you relapse?
I'm way past that, it's actually a very good show.
Did you think just seeing it and seeing that lifestyle would be what would make that happen?
Yeah, but it's not what I thought it would do. It's not doing that to me at all.
That's interesting because
Just
that's
enjoying the
actually
show.
one of the questions I had for our discussion question is like, do you think it's true this whole once is an addict, always an addict? Is that true? Because that has to do with change.
I think that yes and no. It's a yes and no. It's both.
Okay, explain.
Because for me to go out and start using drugs and doing all that craziness and running the streets and doing what I was doing, I mean, that would take a lot. I mean, I don't think I can do that because I don't like being that way. I do believe you can change. I believe you can change who you are. You can change your habits. You can change stupid lifestyles to make yourself better.
Right.
To make yourself, I think that a lot of people don't believe in change is because they're unwilling to do the work. It's a process and it's work.
Right. Oh, I
That's
like
what
that.
it is.
I think that's totally true. And I think that maybe when it comes to addiction and recovery, you never want to overestimate your ability, right? That's why you're saying it's both, because you should always think of yourself maybe as that's always going to be a risk.
Of course.
Is that kind of what you mean?
But then you have to know what, like for instance, if you start eating candy, like a normal person could do a line of drugs, cocaine, and go, oh man, that's strong. I'm not doing that no more. But an addict would do it and be like, oh wow, I like not,
But do you really think that's true? Because they say just say no, don't even try it.
But
is that because you don't want to trip that addict in you, or is it because it really is that addictive? I always thought it was just
no. It's not really that addictive. It's
I
being
think
an
it
addict.
is that addictive.
No, because I know people who could do a
who
line,
would use it at a party or something.
Use it at a party and then don't use it again for months and months and months and months and months.
Interesting.
And then there's some of us that would use it at a party and then we can't stop.
I don't know if that's good for people to know. I think they should just not use it at all.
That's why I say experimentation can and will lead to addiction.
It's not a good idea.
If you have that in your family. And you may not even know you have it in your family because it may not be right in your family you see, but in the past, there may be somebody back there who has that.
Well, and it also can be it doesn't have to necessarily be something that was genetic. It could just be the things that have happened to you, right?
No.
Or you think it's got
They really believe it's a disease, and it is a disease.
I don't know that it being classified as a disease means it's genetic, though.
Well, because let me explain to you why.
We need an expert here.
Well, yes, but let me explain to you what I've learned in the program my 2 years. The problem is if I do a line of cocaine, which is my drug of choice, if I do that, it changes how my brain reacts to things. Mm-hmm. You could do it and it changes nothing. I do it, it changes everything about me. And I become a whole different person. So in my wiring of my brain, that's why it's a disease, because it's only in my brain and any other addict's brain the same exact way. See, a lot of people think that they go out there and they act like they can do things different, but what's the difference what's the thing that insanity means? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a difference. Okay, for instance, some people are addicted to work. They can't stop working. They work until they're exhausted, and they're driving home and they get into an accident. The same thing. You're not supposed to overexert yourself in anything. We all have our addictions in different ways.
That's what I'm saying.
People have excessive masturbation. They have that.
I think because there's potential for anyone to become addicted. That's what I'm thinking. I think where I'm disagreeing is that I think it's not like, oh, you don't want to play the roulette that you might be one of the ones that's addicted. I think it's possible for anyone.
The roulette you don't want to play with those kind of things with drugs is you can do it and die. It can blow up your heart. That's the thing you have to be careful of. Experimentation, it can lead to addiction, but also can lead to your death, because you do it and you didn't know, all of a sudden, pow, it blows your heart up and you're dead.
Well, I don't know.
Didn't blow my heart.
That's
up.
not really what we were going to talk about, though, huh?
No, we're talking about change.
Do you think real change is possible?
Yeah, I believe real change is possible if you do the work. The problem is people don't want to put. It's like, for instance, I can get down to 170, 160 if I wanted to, but that takes a lot of work.
Yeah,
I got to do the work to do it. I got to get to the gym. I got to do this. I got to eat right. And at my age, am I willing to do that now? Probably not.
I was thinking about what it actually takes to change too. I was thinking about that and where change kind of begins.
Yeah.
And I was reading something and I've just been pondering about it, that it begins in your mind. You create the change first.
Yes.
Spiritually in your head, thinking about it.
But you have to really want it also.
Yes.
I think success is the same way. I believe success can be achieved if you really want it, and there's sacrifices you have to make to get it. That's the thing. But some of us are willing to do it, sacrifice the right way, and then some of us sacrifice the wrong way.
What do you mean by that?
Well, some, like men and women, go out there and they use their bodies to get to where they want to get to. And at the end of the day, no matter how much they achieve by doing that, they're still going to feel lousy about themselves when they get it. But when you do the work the right way, when you reach the goal that you wanted, you're very happy with yourself and you're very proud of yourself because you did it the right way. You didn't take any shortcuts. You didn't do anything mischievous or devious to get to where you have to get to. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, as far as like how to begin with change, one of the things that I had read and heard was talking about spending the time, and we've talked about this before, I think, on the podcast, is spending the time thinking about what that changed life would look like visualizing, really trying to get down even to the details of like nitty gritty stuff of like, this is what I would like my life to look like. And then kind of stepping backwards from that and to what are things I could do? What are habits that I could start working on or adopting that would be part of that life?
Yes, I agree. I think a lot of people don't look ahead of everything either also.
Yeah.
I mean, like they say, oh, I want to be this famous actor and this and that, but it's like you don't know all the pain and suffering when you get to get there, and then when you get there, there's a lot to go with it also.
Right.
You know, I want to be filthy rich. Well, you don't know the headache it is to be filthy rich. People trying to use you constantly. So I think there's good and bad with everything that we do, and there's, I think so you have to be willing to take what comes with it. Otherwise, you shouldn't do it. It's like, if you want to be, if you want to race cars, right? Say your dream is to race, Indy 500. You're going to have to realize eventually one day you're going to have a crash. And you can possibly either kill yourself or really hurt yourself. If you're okay with that, then you move forward. If you're not, then you go to a job that's easier, like driving go-karts.
Yeah, being really realistic about
being realistic about it. Yeah.
A job driving go-karts. Where's that job?
Well, I'm just saying like racing go-karts is what I mean. Racing go-karts.
But that's not a job, is it?
It can be a job. Yeah, they have go-kart races all the time. Pays money.
I don't know if that classifies as a job. Go-kart racer.
It is a job.
Really?
Pays big money. I'll show it to you later. I'm telling you, it is.
Okay.
Well, you get sponsors.
But don't you think they would still crash too?
Yeah, but those things are so low to the ground. Chances of them hurting themselves.
That sounds like more of a hobby.
It's not a hobby. There's actually go-kart racing, professional go-kart racers.
Are they like 19 years old?
No, there's some older guys that do it. That's cold-blooded.
Some older guys that have finished with their careers and they're retired and now doing it as a hobby?
No. Let me see. Watch, I will show you professional.
Okay, you show me professional
go-kart
racer. I don't think so.
Right there. Told you. Professional go-kart racing. See, Google will tell you every single time you're wrong. Told you there is professional go-kart racing.
Okay.
See? And they got the decals on the cars and everything.
Oh my
gosh. It's a real sport. I told you that.
Well, that looks like something you could get injured in just as much.
But
so what was even the point?
Because it's so small, it's so low to the ground, you don't really get that hurt. In a car and they probably do like 110, but 200 miles an hour in a car, you hit the wall, you're going to disintegrate.
I bet you can get just as hurt in
I've seen these races and they're fun.
Okay, but people still get hurt.
Okay, well, I don't think so. I've never gotten hurt doing it.
Okay, now Google professional go-kart racing injuries and let's see.
Yeah. Versus the real cars?
Okay, I will give you that.
Yes.
Those crashes in like NASCAR do look like they're pretty brutal.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't survive those. But I think that, like I'm saying, if you have to take change. I look at change in certain ways. Like, for instance, I look at my life has completely changed. So either I'm going to fold or I'm going to change with it. Like, I didn't realize the responsibility and how hard it is to have younger kids again. It's a lot of work, and it's a huge thing. Now, I can either run from it or take it and keep moving forward, which I'm doing because I love you enough to stay and take care of it and run forward with it. It's a lot of work, though, but it's like, I just forgot how much work I think I somehow.
You never knew.
No, I did.
You didn't have that many.
2 kids is a lot.
You didn't have 2 kids full time. You had 1 kid full time and 1 kid part time.
Okay.
I
There's
have
still a lot of
4
work.
kids full time.
Yep.
That is different.
And that's why.
And you just didn't know what you were getting yourself into.
I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It could be torturous.
Oh, I knew. I tried to tell you that we didn't want to
know.
get married till my kids were raised. I told you that.
Ooh.
Remember, I told you on the beach. I said we can't get married for 10 years because you do not want to be with all this.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
It is
and
a lot.
you're the one that changed your
I know.
mind, that said,
but
yes,
it's a
I
lot.
do.
But I'm dealing with it and getting through it.
But you just didn't know. You just didn't know what you were
I
getting
didn't
yourself
know. I had no idea.
into. I knew.
But then I look back and I see, if I would have been single, running out and just, sinning, sleeping with all these girls, that would have been bad too. That would have been very bad. Could have caught a disease and died. So there you go. So I had to change my life because I got tired of being I got tired of being a hoe. And I was afraid that the Lord was going to come take me. So I had to make a change. I made a change.
Yes.
Fell in love, got married. It's work, but I'm in that direction.
So right there, that proves that change is possible.
Yes,
because
right there.
all you have to do is make a few choices.
Yes.
And things can change.
They can change real. That's right. You can. That's true. You go out there and you rob a bank. You're making a choice to do that. That's going to change. You end up in prison.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I do. While this Dexter show I'm liking, I've got to say, I am stressed by it.
Why?
Because he's constantly got this, he's constantly got to be on game. He's like such a good liar because he has to come up with lies on the spot.
Well, he's
he's
a
just
murderer. That's why he's
right. I know. I could never be a murderer. It would be way too stressful to have to keep everything straight like he does and be on your toes and ready to go.
He's trying to rid the world of bad people, but he ain't trying to go to prison at the same time.
I could not handle the stress. I just get so stressed out just watching it that I'm sometimes okay.
I think you get so emotionally involved. See, I'm always on the surface of it, and you're emotionally involved in it.
I know. It's because I'm an empath. I feel it. I feel the tension. I feel the stress. He doesn't even seem to be as stressed out as I am.
Because he's an actor.
Watching
he's
him.
doing a job. And especially they're shooting it one scene at a time, so you're not seeing it all together, and they're stopping and going.
I mean,
stopping and
season
going.
2 was so stressful.
Oh, when
season
he almost got
1
caught, you mean?
wasn't as stressful because he was so neat and tidy,
Yeah.
and I just was okay, it's gonna be fine, and he's killing bad guys.
Yeah.
And then season 2 was super stressful.
because he
I
was.
needed a break once we got done. I was I need it.
Because he was almost almost getting caught.
I
That's what made you-
know. I don't.
But you have to realize he's only going to go to movie prisons. Remember that, which is not a real prison. He's going to Showtime prison.
Did you go to movie prison?
I don't know. I went to real prison.
Did Martha Stewart go to real prison
No,
or movie
yeah,
prison?
she went to real prison too.
I heard hers was nicer.
No, well, it's a federal prison. That's a minimum.
Wasn't
minimum
she at a
federal
white
prison.
collar? It was a different one, right?
It's for people who don't do violent. That's not a violent crime, so that's why.
So different kind.
Yeah, but she still was in there with people, who probably,
Oh, I watched a show while I was gone. I was up in Utah with my sister this week. We watched one called I think it's called The Better Sister. It has the girl that was on Seventh Heaven. She was the teenager on, and it was really good. It made me think of it because in it, so her husband. It's really quite a good show. I do not think you would like it. It's kind of a little bit more towards
Girly.
a girl audience. And it was a little bit on the slow side. I think you would have thought it was slow.
I'd have been like,
But it was a mystery. Her husband gets killed, and her son ends up, her adopted son, and who it's his actual biological father is the one that's killed. He gets arrested for it, and when he's in prison, he has a black eye and stuff. It made me think of our prison episode where you were talking about what it's like in prison, because
I never had a black eye.
he had a rough time. You never got a black eye?
No.
That's right, because you had.
I'd have shanked somebody
got
up
protected.
for that one. No, well, I would have shanked them up anyway. I was crazy in there. I had to protect myself.
Anyway, it's a good one, too.
I didn't know these seats do this. In case you got little tiny arms, you can, they come in. You put, it's got little. If you have T-Rex arms, you can use this to put it in.
Okay. I've been trying to figure out if there's a way to lock the chair so they don't spin.
What's wrong with spinning?
Because I think it's a little distracting that when we spin.
I like spinning. It's fun.
It is fun, but I think if you're watching it, it's a little weird.
Okay. And that's the thing. Okay, I am learning a lot of things, of changing. I've learned how to. Sometimes the argument just isn't worth it. I just go,
Yeah.
And I just keep it in my head. And then when I get on stream with my guys, oh man, you should blah, blah, and then I tell my friends everything.
Oh, on the stream in public, just so you know.
Yeah,
that's still public.
No, this is my friends. They hear it. They laugh.
And all of your followers on Twitch.
Well, all of us tell our war stories. And we all do.
So I think that one of the things that when it related to change that we do get hung up on is that we expect change from others. We see the change others should make, and we don't think enough about the change that we need to make.
That's exactly true. That's exactly true.
That so much of the power to change what we want to change, it's our power. But we give that power away because then we don't feel responsible for changing. And then it's easy to look around and say, hey, oh, they need to do this and they need to do that. And oh, I wish that he would just start doing this or she would just start. And really so much of the power to actually create actual change comes when we take that power back and say, I am going to do this.
Well, that's why
they can do whatever they want.
Yes, and that's why I often tell people who have don't put your problems onto me, which means that it's like, well, example is with stuff that happens, people who have different diseases and that kind of stuff. It's like if you say I was using drugs and I'm bringing drug people to the house, that's putting my disease on you also. Now I'm making the house unsafe, making it dangerous. You know what I mean? So we have to realize that you're absolutely right. When we need to make a change, we have to change in ourselves and not try to change the other people around us.
Right. And it is kind of just a little bit of mental laziness or kind of our desire to stay stuck that keeps us from keeping that power.
Well,
and we give the power away to other people saying they need to change. They need to change.
But we're also afraid to change. So that's why it's easier to stay within ourselves and not have to make these strives and these scary, nervous things to make adjustments in our life and move forward. Because you can't stay who you are early in your life without changing and becoming a better person or a different person. To me, to be successful, you have to move.
I do think we're meant to move. I think you're meant to improve. That there was a
you're meant to be a better
saying
person.
that I really loved that would say the only person you need to be better than is the person you were yesterday.
Yes.
Stop comparing yourself to other people and compare yourself to the past versions of yourself.
I remember my mom used to say, and don't follow the Joneses, which means that just because they have their new car, don't go out and buy yourself a new car if it's going to hurt you financially.
Right.
You don't need that. You don't need to be like
Isn't it keeping up with the Joneses, not follow the Joneses? I think you slaughtered that saying. It's keeping up with the Joneses.
My mom used to say follow the Joneses.
No, I bet she did not.
Why don't you go ask her? Oh,
I would love to. I miss Mama. I went out there today. I had moved her picture when Jimmy was coming to visit for your birthday, and I'd moved it to a different spot. And when I walked out there, I saw it.
I know. I see it every day. I walk back there. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll see her again. I will see her again when I pass away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The way y'all going about it, maybe next week. No,
she was my murder, she wrote, buddy.
If something happens to me, you guys, it's Bettijo. She got me.
I'm not a murderer, remember? It's too stressful for me.
Yeah, you'd be all. You would give yourself away. I did it. I'm sorry. Not me. I'd be
okay, so there's a game. You guys should go on Amazon. It's called Cockroach Poker.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Our daughter.
Yeah, but
up in
you
Seattle,
always seem to get me.
I do, but it's a fun game. You bluff. You basically it's got all these different pests like cockroaches and spiders and bats and all the things. And you are trying to pass it off to other people. It's a pretty fun game.
I'm not a very good liar either. That's the problem. I don't lie.
You're fairly good at it for other people, but I can tell.
Yeah, you always know.
I can tell.
That sucks.
And then I had to switch it up because I would always just tell the truth. And then Jimmy was actually using that against me.
Was he?
Yes. So that's a fun game.
It is a fun game. But I don't know. When you look at change, I think also fear keeps people in the same spot, unwilling to change.
They're afraid of change.
They're fear of changing because it's the fear of the unknown.
We're creatures of comfort. We don't want to do something that's uncomfortable and hard. And change is always going to be a little uncomfortable and hard.
Yeah.
And I actually think that, taking this to a spiritual level more, I actually think that change is really what all this life is about. We're here to change and grow and improve. And talking about Satan, the devil, I don't know what people believe, but one of the things I'll tell my kids, especially because kids are so resistant to change too. It's just and I think naturally we feel that way. But I said, this is one of the first things that would be good to work on is getting used to changing and growing. Because if you look around the world, like this earth, change is a constant. Yeah. Like the flowers that are growing, the trees, nothing stays the same. It is unnatural for things to stay the same.
There is one thing that stays the same.
Change always is happening.
There's one thing that stays the same.
What's the one thing?
God stays the same.
God is, because he's omnipotent and omniscient, he's already everything.
Yes.
So
and
he's perfected.
It keeps me from killing people. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my goodness. If something happens to anybody, it might be him.
It won't. Don't be me. Let me tell you something. I'll only hurt you if you try to hurt me and my family. That's the only time I get very, very dangerous.
And you get very defensive about that.
Yeah,
it's true.
If you try to hurt my family, you're in trouble. I'll defend that.
Yeah, yeah.
Or my dogs.
Your dogs do not need defending.
I know.
They're huge.
They're big enough dogs to defend themselves.
I know. You just have to go on Todd's Instagram feed and you can see how big his dogs are.
The other day, I was feeding them, right? And I was getting down to pick up Maxim's bowl, and he came over and he went, boom. I was like, It was so
He licked you?
Yeah, he ran into me, almost knocked me over, and then he licked me and he brought me back in the other side. I was like, like Maximus.
That sounds terrible to me, actually. I don't really like being licked by dogs.
I love dogs. I don't like him licking my face. He licked me right here, though.
No, that's terrible.
No, it wasn't. You kissed me right there afterwards.
But did you wash?
No, I'll let you kiss it.
Gross.
I kissed Maximus's lips right here.
Oh, my gosh. Dang.
And that'll be it for today. Thanks so much.
We'll see you
like
next
and subscribe. We'll see you again. Don't forget, check out Dexter. It's really good. If you're not afraid of gore. It's not gory. Dang is produced by my wife, Bettijo Bridges, in collaboration with Star Worldwide Network Studios, and edited by our daughter, Adelie Ann.
She's also the musician responsible for our theme music, so go check out Adelie Ann wherever you stream your music. Have a question or topic you want us to cover? Send us your suggestions at dangpodcast.com.
Do me a favor. Please subscribe and rate our podcast to make it easier for others to find. Have a great week.
Yeah,